made top one. So I had my first official perfect week. No thanks to my coworker last week.
Hey, what's up?
I believe Celery is muted.
Oh, was Celery muted?
Oh, no. Wasn't muted, just no audio.
I mean, yeah, since last week I took Dragonlord True Form out, put KSS in, and then replaced Gremlin for Boreal. So this week it was definitely an improvement over what Dragonlord True Form would have been. Um, it was good because I think Starscream was saying, I never changed my team, so I did this little change, got my 10th win, and it's sad because this is the only week that I've fully not used Dragonlord True Form apart from No S week, so it's the end of an era. Mm, I don't know how I wouldn't have had Halberd, but normally I'd say yes, but that one troll match that took me until the very end and anything, no, I don't think that one would have been able to. I don't think I would have been able to do that one without both of them. I don't know that one. That was my easiest choice. The other four had a pretty high leveled Seraphies, so um. Mhm.
I mean that does lead into my week. With ASS, I think I would have been able to perfect. My one match I didn't perfect. I chose because I was choosing between two. I had a fairly tough bucket, and one of them was like Zoma, Deborah, maybe like Metal Dragon, and some. It was like I think it was a 4-man team where 3 of them were pretty heavy threats, and then the other one was I think a 5-man team where there was only really 2 threats, but one of those threats was a fully awakened squid. So I went with that one, but the squid was out of range. It was out back in that back row. So
Rough.
that ended up just completely wrecking me. My Dimension Dragon, I actually was really close to 128ing it, but my Dimension Dragon died to a combination of neutral attacks. It took the squid's dash attack, killing machines, rolling attack, and something else. There was some other neutral attack, and 3 hits ended up being too much for it, even with the boosted hit points.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna
if
have to go back.
I
I didn't have any audio apparently. The device must have switched to a different one. So I was mentioning that we had a member in the Discord that was using Dragonlord True Form this week, and it didn't die. despite being weak to Sizz, because they avoided KSS, but they'd still take on halberds and other units, and that's where Celery came
I
in.
actually, if you check out my YouTube, I put up an expedition match, one of those no points bonus matches, facing Marcos and his max rank KSS.
Hmm.
And I did use Dragon Lord True Form. It didn't die. I didn't 1-8 because I was being a little bit, channeling my inner pack, and I used Dimensional Ice Slash turn 1, which put me out of range after the KSS dashed forward.
Fair enough.
So I wasn't able to hit it with Dimension Dragon turn 2. But it didn't kill my Dragon Lord True Form. It killed my halberd with two searing presses plus I think I don't remember what the other thing that hit him was. If it was, I think it might have been Dragon Lord True Form. He has a 0 awakened Dragon Lord True Form that I think used fire. So 2 searing presses plus a fire was enough to take out the halberd.
So you were going up against the searing press then.
Yes.
You decided to face it. Like, what were the other teams like on that bucket?
Oh no, that was Marcos that I faced in an expedition match.
Oh, expedition match. We're still on that. Okay.
The one that I lost points on was the max rank squid. Basically, it was squid, Deborah,
all the units we said to avoid.
Yeah, but I one-shot the Deborah.
Oh, that's
and then
fair.
The squid wasn't really an avoid so much like a relatively strong unit this week. And I would have been fine if the squid would have been in range, but unfortunately they set the squid up outside of 6 range, so I wasn't able to hit it with rough turn 1. So that kind of wrecked my initial strategy. Deborah was in range, and I was able to one-shot Deborah with Dimensional Dragon, even with the boosted HP. Because I think it was only like one awaken or something.
Did we see Meta Blood on the leaderboard this week?
Meta Blood is somewhere near me. I don't remember if he's.
I'm seeing that they lost points the other.
Okay, there we go. My audio's better.
Saturday.
Yeah, he was near me.
That's Breno. He's in the chat right now, so it's him, Nocturne, and Skull. Looks like. So what's up, everybody? I also didn't give an intro because it was muted. So welcome back to the pack, and welcome to the Arena Watch podcast, guys. All right. Anyway.
Yeah. So that was that match where the squid plus Killing Machine plus whatever their 5th unit is that I don't remember managed to do three different neutral hits to my Dimensional Dragon, which was enough damage to take it out, which meant I wasn't able to use the Dimensional Fire Surge on the squid turn 2 to kill it, which means the squid lived on turn 2 and killed my rough, one-shot rough with a bang, his bang regular attack.
And were there any other points you lost this week, like 3 turns or any other? Nope, just that one match.
That was it.
What were the other buckets like? I mean, matches, teams in the bucket for that. Like, why'd you avoid all the other ones?
The other one I was considering, there were 3 I don't particularly recall because I wasn't considering them. So they were, very, very high rank and difficult. But there was one other one where it was, I think it was a 4-man team, but 3 of them were threats. I remember one was a Zoma, and I think one was a Deborah again, and one was probably Halberd, and I don't remember what the 4th thing. But I was going between the 2. And I would have definitely picked the other one if I had KSS, because they didn't have any Sizz resist units, whereas the one I ended up picking had squid. but I just made the decision that I could deal with squid two threats easier than three, but then it ended up one of the threats wasn't targetable turn one. So that was.
Did any of you guys have to deal with the squid this week? Metazoa, Trop?
I
How'd you
did.
handle it? Because I think I did too, but I can't recall.
Oh,
I
only a
tried to
mechanized
push.
version.
You tried to push him?
I tried to push against 22k CP-ish teams when I could, because I made my Metal Dragon very fast, and KSS was also naturally very fast. So being able to get a missile, follow-up missiles, and a Searing Press in immediately made it really, really strong. I took a couple of matches with Squid just because it's not very fast, and Marshall ignores defense. So even with 1400 HP, that's, Marquis de Leon Roar with a Searing Press Cleave and a missile.
Couldn't he push like even 1500 HP given that he has a bloom and they had like the boosted HP this week? I saw a few units that were like 1500.
100%. I think in normal weeks you can see them up to 1300 HP. Extremely bad unit to face most of the time. I tried to push against harder teams this week when I could, because I didn't want to face any backstack teams, because the harder teams tend to be more aggressively placed. So you get those W formations or those N formations, and King Shi Slime with Metal Dragon just cleans those out.
Some people also pointed out that the default positions play a huge factor into that, because some, brain dead people will just hit auto and just, and that's what it is. So I think it must have helped that the default position, probably aiming caught onto that, was put more in the middle or aggressively. Because I saw a few units in the back, but I had no trouble dealing with them. I mean, a lot of my units that we brought, like KSS and stuff, like had mobility, so they didn't have a hard time trying to reach the back line, my units.
Okay, can we talk about the photo that I posted and the team that trolled me? That was both a high CP team with lots of threats, and this fucker placed all 5 of them in the back. That team almost cost me points because I couldn't reach anyone turn 1.
Do we have a name? Do we have a name?
It was for
It must
sure
have been Abyssian or something, right?
Asian name, so that makes it harder. It was a Kimchi or a Sichuan.
Or was it
I
Kimchi
wish it was an
Szechuan?
English name so we could roast someone for that placement, but damn, dude, they had a Zoma, Dragonlord, True Form, all tanky, White King, Max Awakened.
Oh,
Con.
Nocturne was upset I didn't use the DQT hub intro for the podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what he wanted me. I thought he wanted it on the hub. It doesn't make this isn't the hub podcast. This is shit. How am I gonna play that intro now? I would have to have a different scene set up ahead of time and then just play it through there, I guess. maybe next time, Knock, or maybe we could end on that so people could join the DQT. I'll try to have that set up by the time this finishes. No guarantees, but we'll try.
So actually, similar to Trop, my very last match was 4 far backstacked units, no middle, and I got this close to losing my Metal Dragon. I think I was 100 HP off, just because they taught their Zoma sizzle. At the very last moment, almost lost 8 points there, but surprisingly, I'm looking at the rankings right now. We had 12 in first place.
Yeah.
For the week. And
I wonder if any of those non-halberd, because second to last day I saw only two guys out of the 18 or how many ever people were left at the time, 2 guys that didn't have either KSS or halberd, and I was like, ooh, that's hard that they could even do 6 days perfect with that. But everybody else had either or both halberd and KSS.
I think
they're probably getting good buffs for good placement. There's no way that the people without KSS and halberd are getting through with some of the buckets we had. It's impossible.
Nobunaga has halberd. He just doesn't have KSS, so not him.
Yeah,
Must have been
well,
someone else.
I don't think anyone in first place doesn't have halberd. I don't know if anyone in first place didn't use halberd.
That's what I meant. Like no one.
I
No,
didn't use
there
halberd.
was. There's 6 people. Sorry. There's 2 people yesterday on the 6th day that didn't use either halberd or KSS, and that's what was shocking to me. Because
Just
I
double
thought
check.
that's
Everybody
not possible.
used one of 2 of them.
Now,
Sometimes both.
so those guys,
Yeah.
so they both lost
Yeah.
points on the last day. They had to fuck it up. Look at that.
In fact, at the very top, Danny M4 and I have pretty much the exact same team.
Still, I'm decently surprised with the people that use halberd and maybe like Dragon Lord True Form instead of KSS. They still did pretty well. That's not bad. There's like at least a few of the teams here don't have KSS at all. So the week was winnable without him technically. You just need a really stacked team.
I will say, on the subject of Sizz weak units, I did end up using Vera pretty much all week long. I don't think I subbed her out for a single match. She also has Sizz weakness, and just pumped up that HP to high enough to take a hit from halberd and a little bit more if necessary. So I think mine was clocking around 1500. But
can we all
stayed far
agree
away from
that the
KSS.
best 5th slot unit for this week was hybrid? I'm not biased. I just had to say that the best 5th slot unit for this week was hybrid. Yep. I could have probably won this week with 4 units. I'm not gonna lie. I probably could have. It was an easy week in a sense. Like hybrid was there as auxiliary. Like there's a few units that were frizz weak or that he could just poke for 2 turns, and that was nice having that little bit of comfort, just in case if I had a really bad bucket once or twice this week. I think the rest of the week was pretty good because it's like my team's like 24k CP. So it's like if I could face a team that's like 20,000 CP, it's like some people sweat at 20,000, right? Some people like, oh, that's a lot, but it's not. It's like that for me is already good. Like 21,000, even 22, 23. I faced, I think, a 22 or 23 team, and I did all right. Once when you start pushing closer to your own CP, it's starting to get a bit rough. But I saw your team, Metazo. I don't know if you noticed. I saw your team, and I was like, not this week.
Not this week.
Not this week.
I
No.
didn't see if you saw my team or not.
Because I didn't see. I don't doubt that I could like nuke your KSS, but it's a hefty guy, and it's like I don't use bang. I don't use zap, but I could. But I don't know what I didn't know what your KSS's agility was quite at the time, so I didn't want to gamble. Right? I could have asked you, but I was on air 480. 480. I don't know.
Check. That is without agility equipment. So remember, I had to put a whole bunch of agility equipment on my Metal Dragon to get them just a little bit faster.
Okay, so my
473.
473. Mine's is at 455 right now. He has the lollipop and a shield instead of a robes.
Same.
Yeah. So I thought you just make him a bit heftier because he's faster than the rest of my team, so I don't need him that fast. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't face your guy. That would have been that would have been bad.
My Metal Dragon was also punching at 476 agility.
Okay. I need to start getting work on mine.
It's a fantastic unit. Honestly, those
Any
two units,
agility equipment
Metal Dragon
on him to get him that fast?
I had to use my robes of evasion, and I gave him a Sizz sword because I rolled high agility. High HP.
I saw that.
And agility node.
I was like, oh, that's strange. He's using the Sizz sword. Like you could have, like.
It was the only sword that I could use that gave me enough HP to still be comfortable, but also had the tiniest amount of agility to put him just over KSS. Because KSS would come in and cleave 3 units plus with a Sizz Slam, and Metal Dragon had a really good chance of firing follow-up missiles off that.
Did you guys see Purplatypus got a perfect score this week?
Oh, congratulations, Purplatypus.
Yeah.
Too bad Pack Demon was unranked this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Kage
think
even
they took a
quit.
week off.
He's not even. You can't even find him on the leaderboards at all.
Yeah. I just wanted to give him a shout out. He's a lesser known YouTuber, so I thought I'd give him a bit of, assistance.
Got the little guys.
Yeah,
For
you
the
gotta
little
help the
guys,
little guy.
you gotta support the community somehow. We're a tight knit community. I want to see everyone grow. So, yeah. Let's see if I could get a screenshot of my first place here results.
I did not get a screenshot of mine because I just put
Oh
my
shit!
phone
I
up to the
screwed it
air.
up. Whatever. That's fine.
I also missed a screenshot on the nice little diagram you get when you full bloom a unit on my Dragonlord True Form, and I feel a little salty about that. Didn't realize we got a full diagram with that.
Yeah.
Gonna be a while before I get another one of those.
They should really just update it so you could just zoom out for the full diagram. It's just sides are chopped off, and it's like, I mean, for KSS, it doesn't matter because I just move it a little bit this way because it's like I don't need the bottom one and I don't need the one on the right anyway. And I'm like, this is the full bloom for KSS, guys. And they're like, but what about no, what about no? This is the full bloom for KSS. Nothing else matters. I'm just gonna say that. So
I will say
you should
that very
save your
rarely
mats
lock
for someone
physical
else
moves
anyway. Well, that might be
is-
okay.
It's a 20% chance against, weak units to it.
AOE,
worth it.
so maybe
Why not?
maybe
Save some points sometimes.
you there's an argument
Make
for
it
it
so you
in
don't get
PvE, right? PvE, but I don't know if having it in arena is valuable because you still could. How did I handle this week? I nuked every physical unit I could possibly see because I had so much cleave AoE with KSS on my team and Halberd on my team that I could just nuke units even if they were if they're heavily resistant. Like I could just, because if they're resistant to that, they're not resistant to the crack. They're not resistant to the typeless and other stuff that I'm bringing this week. So it's like there's no unit that I would leave alive generally that was physical. So that way I'd only have to go up against a breath on turn 2. And it's like, what is that going to do? Nothing. Like there's probably 1 or 2 crits potentially that could have happened this week that could have killed me. Surprisingly, one of them was Slon. So if Slon crit me this week, I would have lost the unit, and that's it. But I was content with that. That was like a 1 in I don't know how much chance because he could also miss, and that would make up for the crit he would deal on one of his hits. I was a lot faster than him, so there's a good chance of him missing. I think the rate for each blast fist hit is like 80% chance. So he was less agility than me, so it's even less than 80% because that's the cap. Whereas like a normal ability would be 100%. But
I actually lost my one of my first perfect weeks on what was it? I believe it was last month. It was the whoosh week. It was rough, took out pretty much everything, and all I needed was for a Salon that was, I think, level 100, 2 or 3 awakens, and built for HP to not get the attack buff at the start of its turn and not hit all 4. And against all odds with 200 something agility, it hit all 4 against a agility buffed rough, and he got his attack buff on the first round. And I just looked at it, I was like, of course. Of course.
Okay. So that's, I guess, sums up this week for the most part. I think that's a piece of advice I'm going to give out for people, though, is always try to nuke all the physical units. It's great using units that don't crit for arena because it's consistent for you, so they're just overall powerful and they have enough damage to kill people without critting. But they're also nice to face, too. Those same units that are nice to use are nice to face because you never get crit by them. Tend to not. So I would go against those same units that you would use. And I would, if you do see physical, take them out. That's going to be my advice forever.
Made a point of that in my article this week. And really, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about because it's Envenom week.
which
There's not a whole
is
lot of synergies there.
kind of like the last, right? Because it's like the first thing I thought Envenomment week is like, okay, so let's start off. We're done with the last week, all right? So move on to the next this upcoming week. What's the whole spiel about this? It's if you move first, your unit already has damage on it. So whereas
Yes.
this week we have we had 25% more HP. Now we're gonna have 25% less. You know, damage that you already have taken on you. Aside from
Unless your units are slower.
exactly,
things
in which
like
case that's gonna affect
Baramos.
turn 2, but not turn 1. So are we still gonna want to run in and nuke them?
Slower. They're because of the one of the big things with this week compared to last arena week is that we now have the new AI that maximizes damage. So last arena week, a lot of times you could take advantage of a slower team because the Zomas and Sorrows and such would still use their weaker status effect moves rather than their damaging moves if you were slower, because then you weren't in range of a kill. Now, even if you're not in range of a kill, you know, your enemy units are still going to go for their higher damage moves, which if you don't kill them first and they do get off a counterattack, or if they hit you first and then you go and you kill them on your counterattack, that envenom damage could still finish you off and it'll still count as a death.
Was that in the
even if it-
notices? Because I didn't check that. You say the AI changes.
Oh, he's talking about the last Envenom week that we had, which was like week 10 or something.
Oh,
like
so
that.
that's when it just had the AI changes. It's
Yeah.
like we've had those for a while.
Yeah, so
I
last
thought the thing at first.
last Envenom week, we had some interesting interactions with the AI because first off, again, you know, it was fight wisely AI, so it wouldn't hit you hard, which you could take advantage of by you know, taking weaker attacks and then countering with a strong attack, and they've taken 25% damage, so maybe you get a kill that way that you wouldn't normally get. The other thing that doesn't matter for this week and did for last week, or last Envenom week, is that the new AI will move forward even if, you know, nothing's happened. There's no longer baiting required. Last time with Envenom week, once the first unit had acted, whether it was yours or your enemies, all the units would move forward because they'd be triggered by the Envenom damage on that first unit that happened. So this week, is that map the inlay? Yes, Banshee. That map is the layout for Envenom. So, yeah, one of the things, you know, that I brought up in the Kage's Discord is that the cure. Some people, you know, especially if you weren't around for last Envenom week, you may think, oh, you know, I can just run on my fifth unit. I can run something with Squelch, and I can save one of my units from Envenom that way if they have nothing better to do turn one. But the Envenom applies every turn, so the only thing curing poison does not help you at all unless, you know, the very rare or the very niche case of if you're curing poison on something resistant to Envenom, then you have a chance to not get it reapplied the second turn. But there's no reason to consider trying to be clever and running Squelch on a unit. Just heal. Healing units are excellent, especially now that there's a lot of people with Claria. A lot of people with max awakened, and probably a few of them with max leveled. I know Insane used up some of his massive stock of XP scrolls, took his Claria to 110 and maxed out all her abilities. So Claria, being available with that really nice AoE heal at 35 weight. And not to mention, of course,
she is a slow unit, so she would go after everyone and then heal. So that's not bad.
Have the option of damage with crack or healing, hopefully multiple units with her heal. Very, very solid option this week. Only
she's not a slow
difficulty
unit.
is
Okay, mine's is at
hitting
level
her.
60 and she's 232 right now with a robe. So maybe she's a little faster than I let on.
The only difficulty is fitting her in the team because at 225, it doesn't lend itself particularly well to using A units. I know I almost always go with the hero boss unit and 2 at regular S rank 50 weights when I'm at 225. And then I know that Trop usually goes with his Ghost at 225, the 1 boss unit or Dragon Lord True Form, and then 3 S ranks and Ghost.
Though that might change this week.
Are you going to go with the 4 S ranks and Gremlin?
4 S ranks and the Dark Saber Cub, I think. I taught it Snooze for Arena.
Yeah, he is pretty quick, right? Like he's up in like the 400 something's agility, right?
Yeah, he's naturally 400. Mine's naturally 410 agility without giving it any agility stuff, and it's pretty tanky too. I did give it the HP sword, but it's over 1,000 HP. And then if by some chance he can't reach with his rolling attack or with his boss killing melee attack, then I guess he can snooze with his immense range and put someone to sleep. So,
I mean, you could give him one of the stronger breaths, right? Because he's at least a B unit. I wouldn't give anything below a B unit one of those breaths because, level is a problem. But you could give a B unit and above. I would give either an A or B, and I think A is probably my primary pick for any of the moderate plus breaths that we have now in the game. That would give him range and give him damage. Sure, it's only in the line, but he's a 4-move unit, so it's not that big of a deal. What do you guys think? What breath would you give him? What's the main weakness? Like, I guess the Sizz breath wouldn't be bad, right? The Sizz one or the Frizz one. Crack?
I would give him the Crack breath because that's the only one I have left.
What's a common weakness type for boss units? Because he already has the boss thing ability, so he might as well choose a breath that doesn't correlate with a typical boss weakness. I mean, Baramos is Crack, Frizz, Zoma's... Well, they cover the whole spectrum. I don't know what's the most common one for boss units, but maybe Sizz?
Probably the most common is Crack.
Crack.
Because you've got both Dragon Lords, Baramos, Sorrow.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the one that you wouldn't do. That's the breath that you wouldn't give him then, because I
already said I would. It's the only one I have left.
It's the only one. Oh, you used all of yours? What?
Yeah, I used them all on dragons.
Why?
Because I could.
I know Dragon Breath because of leadership, but like, come on. Like, you could have gave one to Slon, Hellion. Those are like prime picks for me because they were like 4-move units. You give them even more range, they could cover the whole map. And then turn 2, like Slon 10 might like be out of position sometimes to hit a unit. That's happened to me a few times. And having that breath would have fixed that, just that little bit of range you would have needed. I don't know. I think Slon would have done really well with the crack one or the Sizz one even. I mean, there's 2 crack breaths, right? There's one with the debuff of something, and then the one that doesn't have it, the stun. right? What does the frigid blizzard have? It has some sort of. Does it
Stun.
stun?
Yeah, the crack
Stuns.
breath has a rare chance to stun.
But you don't need that for arena. So it's like you could have just gave the regular frigid breath instead of blizzard to like Slon or something. That would work.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, he has a
I'm
nice
actually gonna go with Trop on
110
this one.
110 level. You're agreeing with who? Trop?
Trop on this one with either snooze or fuddle or some kind of status. Something that can kind of lock down a unit before it gets a chance to attack. Because I mean, for most of us here, the little bit of chip damage usually won't make or break. However, getting that extra punch in from a unit that doesn't get locked down or doesn't get taken care of could end up doing pretty poorly.
Banshee
Chris,
said
Arena
his debuffs never land in arena. That's probably because he's not choosing people weak to them. Because if you could get it up to a like at least a 50% chance, then that 50% chance gets taken to 100 when it's doubled. Or if, say, for a unit like a bloomed unit like Saber Cub might have 10% sleep resistance, even though it's weak to it, has 10%. So now you have to take it to 60% to get a 100% chance on him. Something like that.
It's essentially, and that's.
But yeah, I wouldn't try to gamble trying to land the debuffs. That's not a way to win arena, I think.
Well, I think like at the higher level of arena, it's true that while chip damage can be good, I do think snooze or fuddle, that was my state of mind, because for the most part I don't gamble, but sometimes you're forced to take in a start.
So why did you give chip damage to Gremlin? I mean, Gremlin himself is chip damage, but like, why did you give him another chip damage like Whoosh?
And,
why give him Whoosh?
well,
Why not give
I
him?
I don't have Whoosh on my team, so I really needed him to give him Whoosh. Because
So if you did
at
have
the
Whoosh
time,
on your team, then let's say you could have gave him Sizzle or something, but would you have then chose to give him like Snooze instead?
I could definitely see myself. It's kind of complex though. I'll tell you why I maybe wouldn't give him Snooze and stuff like that. Agility plays a factor in decision making too. Like, there are many good reasons why I gave Dark Saber Cub Snooze instead of a spell. One, because his wisdom's terrible. Two, because he's fast, so he's actually fast enough.
Well,
to
you could give him a breath.
threat.
It was my argument that he wouldn't need wisdom for the breath. He would just need the 100 level, being level 100.
Yeah, I don't know how much damage that would do with just the level 100.
It would be
compared to, like,
comparable to
what's-
what it'd be comparable to what Gremlin gets damage, other than the bonuses he gets from Awakening.
Mm,
So that's what it would be missing. It would be that same level of damage, the moderate plus at level 100, minus the Awakening bonuses. You do have
and I
Gremlin's
guess
ability
minus the
maxed.
T-shape.
Yeah.
I did Gremlin.
How much does that do with Brilliance generally?
Wait a minute.
I don't know, not a terribly impressive number, maybe in the 300s or something.
Yeah, so this would be low 300, high 200, something like that with the breath. So it is chip, but it's like it's still damage. It's like,
So I'd rather just sleep in a Stark or sleep a Vera, just put someone to sleep before they can act.
okay, so what about a unit like Slon? So Slon has 10 extra levels. What would you give him to give him like a little bit more? Like, generally he could hit someone on turn 1, but let's say he couldn't. What would you want on him?
Like Trop was saying, Slon is slow, so
But the breath can't miss.
even with his but that's an argument against doing sleep like he did with Saber Cub. Saber Cub,
Yeah.
when you're talking about 410 base before any agility gear, he's fast enough to sleep just about any possible threat, any possible sleep weak threat you'd face. You just give him a claw if he needs to outspeed something, and give him HP gear otherwise, and he's gonna get you that, especially if you're like basically me. If you're me and you don't have any physical or martial attacks, you can sleep them and they're not going to wake up turn one. You're
You've
just
essentially
gonna,
disabled them completely.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you get that sleep off turn one, and then you get to kill them between the breath damage turn one and turn two, without any threat. Like Trop was saying, a Stark is a big a big priority target, because if you can't kill him, then he can easily be really annoying to try and the strategy involved in facing a Stark when you can't kill him before he acts is like, all right, I need to kill this thing, and all of my attacks are area damage. So, how can I arrange my area attacks to hit a Stark a minimum number of times so he's not getting 3 attack buffs and then hitting for massive damage? And even with that, I still have to worry about, crit chances, because, it's highly likely that he's hitting 2 things with his Underworld Slash. So one of those things, I'm going to make sure it's Halberd, make sure he resists it. It's very, the arena IQ required for maximizing your chances of success against a Stark goes down a whole lot when the first step is put a Stark to sleep.
Yep. And I actually did that once during Sizz Week with my Great Dragon, so it helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's we talked about that, like all the cool B plus breaths came out right after you used your sweet breath, but like sweet breath on Great Dragon is very similar to sweet breath on hybrid. Like sometimes you just take out a threat before anything else can act, and it's a really solid option.
I never used hybrid sweet breath, I think, this week. Or did I try once?
I'm pretty sure you used it 1 or 2 days.
I used it one time, and I don't think it landed. So it wasn't really necessary. It was just for fun.
I'm pretty sure you used it on a Percival to lower crit chance. I think I did that too this week. Because Percival is a threat that everyone gets. Super weak to sleep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Percival
too is nice.
Yeah, Percival is a
that was so rare though. Like
example.
I could have beat that match without using the sweet breath and still not get crit. He wouldn't have killed me, even with a crit. Just with the increased HP, it wouldn't have happened. Oh, or even without the increased HP, I don't think it would have happened anyway. Just from what I saw, but.
But yeah, that's a good topic to roll into, is potential B units for. We're getting to the point where there's.
If we're pulling in B units, what's the permutation again that we're gonna see for 225? Just so people
225. Yep. So 4 50 weight S ranks and a B unit gets you right on the money.
That's probably what I'm doing.
2 50 weights, a 60 weight, and a 65 weight gets you right on the money. That's a common one that I run, because rough and Dragon Lord True Form. Let's see. If you had 65, so 2 65 weights, a 60 weight, and an A rank. I don't know anyone who runs such a combination, but that would be a way to get to 225 while using an A rank. Let's see. The next one would be, yeah, I can't think of anything.
Those are the main ones, I think. So,
yeah.
Unless if you're...
I know Trump did a lot of 220s where he'd run a 65 weight, 3 50 weights, and a 5 weight, or a 10 weight get you there. And so that would probably be the next another possible option for people running Ghost, or maybe Stump Chump. Stump Chump is a solid, obnoxious. If you happen to have a slower team, Stump Chump serves almost an identical function to Seraphie. It starts out at like over 700 hit points. I think that's before the bloom. I don't even think it needs its HP nodes in bloom to get over 700 hit points.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just sit it there behind all your units, and it tosses strong medicine at them.
The range on that's a bit rough, especially if you have the 3-move units that are rushing in. They're just
that's why I said it's for a slower team. If you're letting the opponent come to you.
Has anyone done that strat successfully, like, lately? Because I've seen it gone. I haven't seen anyone, like, this week no one did it. Of course, like, KSS is too fast, so everyone, rushed. But, like, the week before that, we had, what was it, Weightless? No, the week before that.
240 vanilla.
Yeah. So, for the past 2 weeks before the Sizz week, we weren't seeing, I don't think people were doing the whole waiting strategy.
I don't know that anyone really uses that.
Because it's unreliable, right? Because you're trying to assume that they're going to go first, and it's like, which one of them go first? Well, maybe some of them do, but some of them don't, and it's like, I don't know, because you don't know entirely. Maybe you could kind of, if you're really experienced, you'll know where they'll move to. But if they're not positioned just right, then how are you going to land? How are you going to position your AOE, right, to land and hit on all of them? You're probably not, right? Like, your AOE might catch one guy, but not the other. It might not all line up the way you want it. But if you see the layout beforehand, because you're faster than them, you could move in and hit them right where they are. They can't move from there, because you're faster. So, I don't know. I feel like it's a more of a gamble with the slow units. But that might be what we start seeing with the 3-turn arena. That's going to be difficult, because we've been relying on a strategy where we just nuke the team before they have a chance to do anything. And if we can't do that because they have 30% more HP, this week we could, because we had 50% more Sizz damage. But it's like, if they had 30% more HP, I don't think we're nuking anybody on turn 1. Just about.
I will say that I did not use much Sizz damage this week. I used Halberd on maybe like 40% of my matches. And so for the most part, I was not using the extra damage, but still facing the extra HP. It's still possible, depending on your buckets, your matchups. It's still possible, but it's definitely much like, there's a lot of one-shots now. When there's no boosted HP, you can one-shot anything up to like 3 Awakened Dragon Lords. You can one-shot any Nira. You can one-shot all the White Kings. You can one-shot Zoma. You can one-shot. There's a lot of one-shots right now that with the boosted HP aren't going to be one-shots. So they require that, going back to that earlier strategy of cleaving. So it depends on the map and where you're able to overlap your attacks. So cleaving still does enough damage right now that you can do the blitz strategy on increased HP.
I think it's going to be more balanced, because it's just going to be like, yeah, you could cleave still. It's not as effective as it once was with 30% more HP, but it'll still be there. But like, you still have, it's just enough that it allows for the slower strats and the HP strats and whatnot.
That's one thing.
And S-Stark would be usable. Like, S-Stark for me is not usable because he doesn't hit until like turn 2 with his physical abilities usually, or maybe not even then. Sometimes I breath both turns with the Stark, so at least you'd get a hit on turn 3, maybe, after being attack stacked up. That would be nice. And I think Seraphie. Oh God, I want to throw that recommendation out there, because if I start seeing more Seraphis in Arena, I'd kill myself. but I think with 3 turn and more HP, Seraphy's going to be a lot more useful, because I could Gritty Ditty turn 1. I could Gritty Ditty turn 2. You know, like that's enough that you're going to see a huge impact for all. You know, because by turn 3 they could have 3 attack stacks. Like, you could have a physical team with Seraphy, and it would be very effective, I think.
Yeah, Seraphy, I think with a physical team, or even going further than just physical, to use a RPG term, like a bruiser team, where
I know what you mean.
They don't deal the most damage, but they
it's
deal
in between
good
a tank and physical.
And they can take hits. So you have a team full of I guess Dragon Lord True Form's a pretty good example of something where, like, he could easily take King She Slime, units that are really tanky and are highly unlikely to die, turn 1 to 1 or 2 attacks, and or even several attacks, as long as you're prioritizing your threats. Then turn 2, you go up and you deal your damage turn 1 and take out a few units. You take the counterattacks, and then turn 2 you heal back up and deal out more damage and take out another unit or 2, and then turn 3 you finish off the last guy. It definitely, I think the new arena rules will definitely. I don't think, especially after this last week again, I don't think they're going to completely, negate the current, what at least we here on the Arena Watch podcast feel is the best strategy, the cleaving AoE.
No, because this week you basically have even less HP, right? So, well, if your opponent does move first, then they really have less HP, and you could, if you had like a cleave strat that was slower, which other than Baramos, I don't know what does that. But
Baramos, Dragon Lord True Form without agility.
Yeah. Okay.
Halberd is, if you don't put any agility on him, on the slow end.
Maybe you give him sort of Rune or something that would get him there.
Yeah.
But you couldn't do it with Marshall. You could do it with Breath.
Yeah, you can do it with Breath. You wouldn't want to do it with Marshall. But so it's.
If there's ever a week that strat is viable, it's this week, going second.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to throw the recommendation out, but like, if there ever was a week, this is the week.
Yeah, we've got some pretty useful obstacles to kind of funnel people towards the middle.
Isn't there a block right in the middle?
Yeah. Which means they're not like they're gonna come up and they're gonna hit that block. They're gonna go 1 to either side of that block. They're gonna go, with a fairly standard team like the one shown, the bot team shown. If they all move up, you're gonna be able to hit almost all of them. You're gonna be able to cleave them pretty effectively by just sitting in the back row and then letting them all come up, and then using all your cleave attacks. So
there's other spellcasters too that are slow. I just can't think of any other than Baramos. Maybe
Zoma is
Dragon Lord.
not terribly fast.
Dragon
Lord is very slow. Nira is maybe the slowest. I've never seen a Nira go before.
Having that with
last.
few breath units, and I think you're set to go then.
Yeah. So I think it could,
maybe
again,
Kage
like
could get his first place again this week.
Yeah. So it's
with his Baramos team.
But like you said, while the slow teams generally aren't reliable, this map and this stage effect make it your best shot if that's the team that you can run. It opens up even Stark, like he's not really slow, but he's generally not going first any of the matches I ever see him. You know, you could set him back and let them come to you, move up.
Hmm.
I will say a quick note on units like S-Dark and some of our other units like Dragon Lord and Marquis that get effects that happen when they fall below certain HP thresholds. Most of the time that won't proc if it's from poison damage.
Yep, good point.
So for anybody who's trying to rely on, oh, you know, I'm taking damage, I'll heal back up, or, you know, I'll this or that, that doesn't happen this week. Before you start losing points to that.
Yep.
Say it again. Wait, what?
Units that gain certain effects by dropping below HP thresholds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the poison
don't
doesn't
get
count.
those effects from.
What if
poison
your
damage,
unit's
typically.
immune to poison? That doesn't matter either, right? Does it?
It does.
Actually makes it so that you don't have to worry about this week, which is basically Metal Dragon.
Metal Dragon.
That's the only meta unit that does that we know of?
Technically, also regular Killing Machine, but
That's
nobody
not a meta
runs
unit.
that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, sadly.
Why doesn't
Sadly,
Overkilling Machine do that? They're both bots. Come on.
They made it immune to paralysis.
That's strange.
I'm assuming because that was a more prevalent thing in Arena, and they wanted it to be a more Arena-focused unit. But Material Family, Inorganic Family, tends to be immune to poison. Stone Golem, if you want to run them as your B for some reason, is also immune to poison.
But that doesn't eliminate the poison from the other teammates. So even, selflessly
No, but
around them isn't going to fix that. Any B units that are immune to poison other than that? No?
Let me get a list for you.
Alright. Yeah, the only one that comes to mind for me might be that B rank Marionette. I think like Magic Marionette or Magical Marionette.
Honestly, Magic Marionette. For the most part, it's people who use poison as well, so not really that great this week because you're not trying to poison anyone. Like, you're not going to bring King Bubble Slime this week. Sorry to anybody who was planning on using King Bubble Slime this week.
Yeah.
Well, you just thwart my plans right there.
Doing an
That was
all-poison team this week.
Oh, damn. Also, fun fact, dragons have literally 0 inadvertent effects from this. So, units that are weak to poison, the exact same as units that are regular to poison.
Yep.
I guess the only downside is you can't make it so they have a chance not to take poison damage.
Yeah, but then you
that's
can always
fine.
plan for it.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean by like putting on the magic armor, where you got that base poison resist level?
Yeah,
give it a light
the
res.
half poison resist doesn't matter too, which is interesting. Hey, Bad Karma is immune to poison.
Yeah, yes, it is.
It is an inorganic.
That's a good unit. It's a good unit.
Half poison resist will give you a 50% chance of not getting envenomed each turn.
Oh, so the
Speaking of good
the
units,
effect applies every
Valheed
turn.
Is also.
Oh yeah, because he's
sorry?
inorganic. So it's only the inorganics. Let's see, and not all of the inorganics too, because like the flame ones, like what's that?
Lizzie Body is actually.
Lizzie Body is, but the other guy isn't, the frost dude with the T breath.
The fire guy. I think he's immune to paralysis.
The frost fire
because he
guy,
uses
yeah.
paralysis.
Magic Marionette. Yeah, because these are all good B ranks. Magic Marionette is good because it hits. It has the wisdom. I mean, it has whoosh boosted. Swoosh boosted. Which some other units might have the mana reduced, which is just such a terrible effect. When you see that on a unit, you're like, why couldn't it have been? Why couldn't it have been potency? Because I mean, B rank spells suck as it is, so having that is just kind of like the nail in the coffin. Killer Gilla is immune to poison.
So that you can use the poison breath to envenomate your
Or Smoldering
team this
Thrust,
week.
you know, just a little bit of range because he's a 2-move unit, so you kind of need the range. So there's that. Yeah, it's not a whole lot of
Smoldering.
units. Yeah.
Killer
Gilla is also a 2-move unit, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
that's
the
what you're saying.
unfortunate part. But yeah, you
It's
could.
not gonna do.
What if you taught a breath to bad karma?
Then you'd have
What if you
a
taught
bad
a
unit.
breath?
Then you'd have
to-
bad unit.
Like what if you just deleted a scroll out of your inventory?
Pack's just gonna teach breath to all his units. They're like, but it needs range.
It needs range, yeah. Well, some of them do. Like, I would give it to Slann. Like, my Slann doesn't have a learned ability. I just need to figure out which breath I would give Slann and give it to him.
Yeah, I think.
Wait, Pack, I think you should S7 your Great Troll and teach it a breath so it has some range.
I would give Percival a breath. It'd be fun. But he
Percival
already
has
has range.
range.
He already has range. It's just to give him like type. Because it's like the thing about Percival is if 2 or 3 people are lined up for the breath, then that gives him a chance to have 2, 3 attack stacks for his roll on turn 3. I think so.
I think
Yeah.
it's when he hits with a physical attack.
Is it only physical?
Yeah,
Oh shit!
I'm pretty sure it's when he hits with a physical attack.
That would
Oh, wow.
ruin everything. Oh no,
would
that was
ruin
one of my
that
plans.
Whole anti-meta plan.
I had all these. Oh damn it!
That's
Did
something.
you just confirm that? Is it?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for it right now just to make sure.
Yeah, unless if we have a physical breath, you know, kind of like how Marquis de Leon has a martial, basically a breath, a line roar, line attack, you know, like unless if there's a scroll
like
for
how
that.
The new dragon guy in Japan has a physical spell.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not. It's
So
not
if you had a
spell.
if you had a physical line, that was also
It's
a
a
spell.
spell that deals damage scaled from attack.
Because he slashes
doesn't-
with it. So he casts Kazap on his blade and then he hits you with it. That's how it was in the anime. It's canon. It's
I
canon.
think it's actually just like a Kamehameha wave.
It's called Giga Break. He calls Giga Den down on his sword, which is just Kazap, and then he hits them with Giga Break.
Alright, let's see. Because they actually have a video of it. Yeah, no, it just straight up looks like a Kamehameha wave.
Okay, never mind. It's ruining the anime, man. That's how it was.
You can find on the
What was the
JP
name?
wiki.
He better shout it like an anime character before attacking every time. Because, you know, Kamehameha is not Kamehameha unless if you say Kamehameha, right? It's you have to say it. Otherwise, it's not real. It's not a real
Here I
ability
was
unless if
hoping
you say it first.
I could copy the entire GIF there. Oh well. But yeah, no, it's just a blast. Probably also to use. It's a blast.
He did have like some
Yeah.
sort of draconic aura that he blasted at people. That could be what it was. I don't know.
I guess at least it's like a spell that scales off physical.
Yeah, so don't teach your Percival breath. You could teach Ragnar. No, you can't teach Ragnar anything. Poor guy.
Teach,
Yeah, I would
can't
teach.
teach an old dog new tricks.
I would teach Slann out of all the A's, and that maybe Hellion if you don't already have a physical. But you guys mentioned how, you know, you could use a spell on Saber Cub, but most of us have Blizzard Rush on Saber Cub, don't we? For elemental coverage, because it's pairs well with
That
Whoosh.
was also before Bloom.
Well, I
most
gave
of
it
us
to him
put
before
down-
Bloom, but even after Bloom, I would have. I gave it to him knowing what his Bloom was, because I knew
That's fair.
he had Whoosh on his ability. His C rank ability was Whoosh, and then I saw that his A rank ability would also be Whoosh, and I was just like, you know what would be good for elemental coverage? Some Crack, because he's a Whoosh, and Crack is perfect for Whoosh units.
Yeah, that's it makes more sense on Darksaber Cub to go for the sleep. Again, the higher agility makes it more likely you can get it off, but also his main attack can't be resisted. It can only be, it's effectively brilliant versus boss type monsters, and it's neutral to everything else. It's a B rank attack that's effectively brilliant or neutral, never resisted. So he doesn't need a coverage attack because he's always hitting for at least neutral damage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
With Mystery Mauler.
Well, Mystery Mauler, but I think if he's getting neutral damage on Mystery Mauler, his rolling attack or rolling break or whatever it was called does more damage.
Yeah, his rolling break
it's a 175, I believe. I was just looking.
So it does.
But you could.
It does less.
You could get a physical ability on him, and he's getting brilliance against with crack or something. But again, like you said,
you'd
doing
still that at 5 range, which on a fast unit you're basically only hitting on 2.
Yeah.
You're doing that at 5 range, but also his Mystery Mauler is his signature ability, so he gets bonus damage to that from his awakenings. It hits at, as long as you're doing single target, he hits 5% harder base plus the awakenings compared to his rolling attack. So it's it's very solid. And,
I mean,
again, he has that rolling attack.
The mystery attack thing that you're talking, it's basically a C rank ability if it's not hitting a mystery unit, and it's
a B rank.
It's effectively
it's effectively a C rank ability hitting a normal unit, and
Yeah.
then it's a B rank ability with brilliance hitting a boss unit.
A rank.
It's basically an A rank ability, or it's a B rank ability with brilliance, because 180 with brilliance is 270, is the point. So it's like you're hitting brilliance on a B rank ability, but only against boss units, which is just terrible coverage, right? You have to admit that's terrible coverage, because there's not
in the arena.
There's a lot of people that like bringing boss units. They really should bring 50 weight units. So I guess you have some sort of coverage, but it's like, still, it's having it either being C rank basically with a little bit of awakening bonuses is not as good as just straight up having, I don't know, basically hitting a potency on Hellfire Slash or something.
I don't know. That's a tough one to argue, because if you're not going to hit a boss unit, you're just going to use the rolling attack. And you might even lower their attack with it. So
yeah.
Or
I think the ability to snipe 55 weight units on a B unit is really nice.
I just don't know what to teach him.
Snooze
or fuddle.
Are you? I know you guys are telling me to do snooze. I'm just not. I'm not.
Fuddle is actually really good because a lot of units are weak to confusion.
Like
Fuddle,
inorganics.
Fuddle just has the
and
Dragon Lord True Form. Yep.
I can bring you a list. Because I remember going in and looking through.
Sleep is the highest because it's like beasts and slimes and Estark and Nocturnus, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, Sleep is really good. Fuddle would be the other one. The bigger issue with Fuddle is if they just run away, it could be really annoying.
Confusion also hits, let's see, Bianca, Elena, Party Animal, Giulianti, Metal Dragon, Killing Machine, Marquis, Carver. I don't know what Carver is.
He's the free S unit we get pretty soon here.
Oh, okay.
Hero.
So
Hassan?
most of the heroes,
He's called Carver.
as well as like half of the the S beast units and inorganics.
All right,
I think
that
Sleep
could be,
might be better.
And we do have 2 options for Fuddle. We have one Fuddle Scroll, and we have one Glower.
I wouldn't use Wait,
think
is glower?
Glower
It doesn't have
is,
range though, does it?
Yeah, it's a range 1, so you do it at range 5.
Ah. Huh. I didn't know that.
I know, because I wasted my photo scroll on Prism Peacock and then spent a week on the Discords trying to figure out if I could make Prism Peacock useful.
I mean, I
I
feel
decided to go
like
with King She Slime.
I feel like he would work for all the things Pickled Slime works for.
He's what you were talking about earlier. He's a bruiser, and I've always thought he was a bruiser. He wasn't quite a tank, but he was like mid-range HP. He's very fast.
That's
Doesn't
true. He
quite a lot
can
of
build
damage.
full HP and deal his full damage. He very well could be one of the units that finally become, useful with the 3-turn arena, especially because he
AoE
likes,
is insane. Like the range he has on it is crazy.
Yeah.
So
he's got the same rhombus as Malroth.
Also, if you're
So
still
very-
using Marquis at that point, he realistically has the highest martial damage available, hitting Brilliant. Technically, it's King She Slime, but you would have to run Queen Slime,
which
as
no
your
one will do
leader,
until she
and-
gets a bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Meanwhile,
her
you can
bloom's
run
gonna have a bigger impact of the same degree, but bigger, than Great Dragon, right? Because if she got a +1 move like Great Dragon got, let's say she got the Great Dragon treatment, whatever the equivalent of Ice Breath would be for Marshall, and whatever +1 movement as well as the potency and whatnot. Imagine if she
The
had
funny
that,
thing on
she
that
would be
is-
crazy good compared to Great Dragon.
I
'Cause
believe her martial actually has the same base modifier as Ice, so it's a 120 base.
The base, but the it doesn't do.
If she gets the modifiers and everything like Great Dragon, yeah, it could be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And then you could.
She would still need the
Make Schleim
+1. I
tank.
think +1 is what makes and breaks it for. Well, 3-turn arena, it's not as big deal not having as much movement, but I still feel like that gives you a little bit of edge, having her movement being just in sync with the dragons, like the 3-move dragons with their fan breath. If she's in sync with them, that's just so good.
I think that Queen Slime, if she gets +1 move, I think I'm declaring that she's going to be a top tier arena unit. Even like no matter what else she gets on her,
Even if she
3
got no
moves.
other extra potency damage or anything.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't even need a new move. Just +1 move, I believe, will make her a top tier arena unit purely for being able to pull.
Goodness,
2
I
to
would
3
have
units turn-
KSS, I would have her, I would have the slime tank dude, whatever it's
Can't
called.
wait for
Yep.
that.
And that's it.
Slime and
That would be my core, and then everyone else is just an alternate. Like if I could, I'm not because like I have no awakenings on him, but Dragon Lord True Form and like having what's his name just on the side, Dolmagus, and that's it. Just so they're immune to physical and martial. That would be crazy. You'd have everything.
The unfortunate is we're getting a lot of those banners back to back. So I think
Yeah,
Schleim
it's
and
not
Tank comes
happening.
out right before DQ8, which is right when Jessica
He's-
comes
he's a-
out.
He's a better metal dragon.
Yeah, but you also have most people have 5 Awake Metal Dragon if they've been playing long enough.
I have 2, so it's like
I have a
Also-
1 Awake Great Dragon.
mine too.
Yeah,
And he's
he is
usable.
a- he is
He's
a
usable at
better
one awakening. Great
Metal
dragon.
Dragon.
Great dragon. I
But-
use Go ahead.
I was just saying, but Metal Dragon is much more easily accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just more saying it because you'd have the 20% leadership for Marshall instead of the 10%, which is not the biggest argument in the world. But the slime tank overall, he ranked higher in the chart, I think, than the metal dragon for potential
Yeah, he has
highest
the
damage.
same passive, and I don't remember. I don't remember what, or I don't know if I ever read up what his actual abilities are.
You don't need
but
too
he
many
probably has
awakenings to
more
do
than one.
damage.
2 to
He
4
probably
range.
has more than one ability.
Yeah, you don't
He
need
has
too
Metal
many.
Dragon's Missile as Bang and a 2 to 4 range. I think they call it a Sora Cannon or whatever in the translation.
It's bang,
and a
not neutral.
Blind. So he has a 3 range.
Missile.
like-
Bang missile.
No, it's Line Cleave. like Glacial Doom, basically same range as Glacial
Like
Doom.
Glacial Doom.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Inflicts damage during physical exercises, martial. On all enemies within range, sometimes dazzling. Long range artillery is 2 to 4, causes great physical damage on an enemy. And Sula Cannon is the missile that is bang, but also has the occasional reduce martial resistance, similar to how Marquis has that on his roar.
So if you could have one of them at 5 awaken, including the Metal Dragon having full bloom, which would you take? If it was permanent, you could no longer have the other one.
Schleiman.
And Schleiman would never get a bloom in this instance ever again.
Ooh.
That's so you have to choose between the two.
We know Metal Dragon's never getting a bloom, so never getting another bloom.
Let's assume, yeah. That's the assumption here.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Is that especially the occasional reduced martial resistance is quite relevant compared to whatever occasional or rarely the missile reduces defense.
And then the awakening bonuses is 1 awake. You sometimes chase with long range artillery, which has a much better range because it's a 2 to 4 range. So it's like Dragonlord Trueform's Draconic Flame, just everywhere from 2 to 4.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of chances to hit with that.
Wait, what's his base movement on his kit?
2, but at the start of his turn, he gains, I think, agility and movement.
How much?
And then every odd number turn, he also gains an additional move and more agility. So at rounds 1 and 3, he gains +1 move each of those rounds and 15% agility buff.
How is that okay? How is that okay? That's crazy.
That's the 1 awake. At 3 awake, they also become Zaro because they get a spell reflect shield. And at 5 awake, they have a 40% chance to increase their own martial potency, which is a 15% buff.
Yeah.
I said Schleiman tank, and I do not take that back. It would be Schleiman tank.
As very, very strong. One of the new pattern after Nocturnus of the units with extra bonuses,
extra passives,
3 and 5, rather than just extra potency.
Oh, and they have Frizz and Sizz resistance.
Very good resistances.
With Whoosh and Zap being their weaknesses.
That's not bad.
Yep. Yeah, very strong unit for anyone building a martial team.
I could use Bang on my team. I am lacking that with my martial currently.
Pretty much everyone could use Bang unless you're running Dimensional Dragon. Like Sorrow, kind of. He at least gives you Bang turn 2.
Yeah, I have Sorrow. I'm just not going to use him. I mean, I use Slan more than I use Sorrow.
Because Slan is 30 weight less.
Yeah.
30 weight and can hit both turns.
Yep. Well, they could.
Pretty much just gets used for grabby hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which now we have a 30 weight less pull as well.
Yep. And a 50 weight two pull as well.
One of those hands with tug?
No. Vera 50. At 50 weight has a 2 pull. So she pulls 2 instead of pulling 1 like Beacon.
Yeah. Like, I think you even... Was it you that said you used it, like, a lot this week?
So that actually wasn't the move that I used a lot last week. Last week it was Shadow Stitch. The B move that does almost no damage. Because I would use it against targets, usually physical units, that have an 80% chance to get hobbled by it. So it ended up being kind of in my favor because I wasn't able to take them out in a one-shot. Which meant that locking them down for a round was just more effective. Because it meant I didn't have to gamble as to whether or not they were going to go up to Marquis and hit him with a Whoosh slash, or go up to my Boreal and hit him with a Frizz slash, or, this or that.
Trop's probably playing Halo for all we know. Yeah, I don't know. Knock.
Trop's a very busy man. He's only got 1 hour for Arena Watch podcast. The minute we go over that, he disappears.
He doesn't have real kids, but he has imaginary kids as a placeholder for when he does actually, it's like a mathematical thing. He has to have the imaginary one so he could, as a placeholder.
I've got real kids.
Somehow Celery has the most time though. He's on the call. He's on a call. But he's still listening in, looks like. But we'll bust his balls. He started drinking real Canada Dry now. I actually talked to him on a voice chat. So now he's upgraded. He's a bit more patriotic. So that's we got him caring about his country for a change. He was an ingrate before that. So yeah, with that Schmenderman something off-brand Canada Dry. But yeah. Oh, it's Doggo.
Yep. She was clawing at the door, so I figured why not.
Exist is asking if we think we're getting more blooms.
We'll always be getting more blooms, but we'll never get as many blooms as we get units. Like, they're never going to reach around and bloom everybody, I feel like, and catch up. I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, I don't.
There might be at least a few units that are completely ignored, and it's like, well, if we bloom them now, it's been like 2 years, and there's no point because even if we gave them a bloom, it wouldn't fix them, So I feel like there would be a few units that just go under forever, like the Titanic, and just never get any love. That's probably going to be a thing, right?
Speaking of which,
at this rate.
Yeah, I think they're definitely not blooming everyone. I kind of hope they bloom all of the S ranks because the one thing that I took note of recently is that the S rank pool, because of the blooms, there's fewer and fewer bad hits. When before pre-bloom, everything in the general pool was bad. Mm-hmm. There was Emperor Slime, who I still don't have, who was excellent and still is fairly good. Was usable for almost everything in place of Seraphie. Just not as good as Seraphie, but still like the second best healer, and for a long time was the best healer.
Mm-hmm.
There was White King, who's still reasonable as a, being able to blunt with MP regen and also deal some damage with Kaswoosh or Zamel. And that was it. Like, every other general pool unit was terrible. I used Great Dragon on my arena team because I didn't have a 5th unit, and it let my Halberd hit harder. But he was overall just a very, not a good unit at all. He wasn't.
Other than door 25 of the blossoming door thing, I haven't had a use for White King since like the 3 heroes fight.
He's useful. He's useful literally because he has MP regen. So you put blunt on him, he can blunt forever, and that's while still also being able to dish out some damage depending on the stage. He's basically a very gimped version of Dragon Lord human form, where he has no coverage because he effectively only hits with whoosh damage. And instead of having Frizz and Zam, but he's used very similar. You just cast blunt every turn forever and still technically have the ability to deal damage. I used him on 30 facing Red Crim for that exact purpose. You just blunt every turn from turn 1 till turn 50, whatever it is. Blunt.
Man, I don't want to get rid of his the ability. I have mid heal on him. It had to use that for the 2 heroes fight, which was such a waste now that I think about it, because it's like I could just do that. I could just do the 2 heroes fight now.
But yeah,
All for an icon.
getting back to my point, pre-bloom, there were 2 decent hits, and the rest of the pool was awful. Now with bloom, there's a lot of, some really good, metal dragon, kingsley slime, great dragon, and then there's the not quite as good like squid and peacock. Peacock's still pretty low. And then there's terrible stuff that doesn't have the bloom like archdemon and great troll and stuff like that. So I think no matter how long it takes, if they bloom all of the S's, all of the general pool, not necessarily every S that comes out. I don't know if Nocturnus eventually is going to need a bloom or get a bloom, but all of the general pool, there will no longer be such a terrible, feel bad moment of, oh man, I just pulled this completely useless unit in place of all of these potential amazing or at least decent or niche units. The worst feeling you'd get if they do reach that point is like, oh man, I got a Rainbow Mandini medal because I already had a Max Awakened S rank unit. Not, oh man, I pulled a Rainbow Mandini medal because it was a great troll and that's as useful as it is.
Did you guys notice how high the rate is for S units like Draguar in the general pool now, but like how low the rate is for A units like Boreal that are now general pool?
Yep.
He's basically like pulling an S, so the chance of getting him at least. It's very low.
Yeah, it's a 0.17 I think for Boreal.
I think I've pulled 6 Boreals, maybe 6 or 7 Boreals since 2.0.
I pulled 1 or 2, but
I haven't pulled a single one, I think.
Yeah. I had a 2 Awaken. No, I think I had 3 Awaken going in. So maybe not 6 or 7, maybe like 4 or 5. But because I pulled one on the 35th anniversary day. I awakened it with shards, and I pulled 2 more on half anniversary, I think. And then I maxed it and then overmaxed it on 2.0. I think I've got a bunch, but yeah, that's my theory, and my hope for the game is that they do eventually awaken all of them. People are talking about giving Great Troll selflessness or some variant of it so that he can be an S rank cover tank, giving Archdemon some potential, like building off of his spellcaster leadership, where he can make spellcasters more viable for PvE at least, where he can reduce everyone in an area around him's MP even further. Stuff like that, where eventually you'll pull an S unit, and as long as it's not a max rank, it's useful for something.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if you have enough tools in your belt, you eventually have a tool for everything. But they're trying to make more and more situations though as well that need specialized tools. So that's the constant struggle between us and the developers is us trying to get units and them trying to create more situations in which we need more units.
I think like from my experience, I have a very wide range of units, but not very high awakenings. And almost always you can defeat, like when a content, EX type content calls for a specific type of unit, just having it is enough. maybe one awakening sometimes when it's one of those the physical units that gets +1 move, but not even always that. I beat 26 the zap damage level with a 0 awakened Bianca and a 1 awakened Royal Reptile. So, if the game definitely rewards the collector playstyle having more options rather for PvE, and we've talked about this before with Trop, like getting a core group of 5 awake maxed out units doesn't do a lot for PvE. It may let you get to 10 wins in arena faster than anyone else in global, but you're still stuck on like Peacock in Blossoming Door. Whereas if you are on the other end of the spectrum like me, like I predict that I should be able to get to Blossom 40 like pretty relatively soon here. I think by the end of January at the latest. Just because I have all of the tools. The only thing I'm missing right now is Dragon Lord, and I can get that at first anniversary if I want it. Dragon Lord, Nimzo is the other one that would be nice to have.
What's nice is that we do have a bloom coming from for Malroth. That's crazy, because it gives us a peer into the mind of JP, right? Like they're like, do I want them to refresh the unit that needs it the most, or just the one that I know is already powerful and could be even more powerful right now? In which case, it would just make it super efficient for me to just invest in this one guy rather than having to have. And they just went all out. They're just like, yeah, just make the strong guy stronger. I don't care.
Yeah,
dude,
really
I love the
interested to see what they
Japanese,
do
man. They're
for the game.
unbeaten and they're savage. That's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, but also just like people have talked about in the Discord, like Malroth's best ability is his B rank breath. Like you're 95% or more of the time. I don't know that there's a single EX content style Blossoming Door, single hard content where you're using him for another reason. Maybe before Marquis came out, he could have been used as a martial option, but like his other abilities, they have such high MP costs, and his breath is just what makes him unique. So like I think it's going to be funny if his bloom makes him better, but he's still primarily used in PvE for the exact same thing he was before. I think that's very likely. I don't think they're likely to improve on his strength of being able to sleep and envenomate.
He'd still get another ability, at least one other ability, and we don't know what it would be, how powerful it would be. We don't know what kind of potency he's getting, what kind of effects he's getting. I usually have an idea, like with hybrid, I know it could be a breath, right? Or at the very least, it would be a spell. It would suck, but like Sizz would be like the worst,
All of the new abilities are damaging abilities, except for Kirill. He's the only one that doesn't get a damaging ability. Oh, and Stump Chump.
Yep.
So, like, basically because he's a offensive type unit, I'm predicting they give him another damaging ability.
But look at Stump Chump. He has a lot of HP nodes because of that. Like if you see how many HP nodes they gave him compared to the other E units, C, even B and A units, he just has a crazy amount of HP that he's given. And then you had the same thing.
If you really want to,
with the other guy, he had in his awakenings, he gets more HP too now.
My
Kirill,
apologies
Kirill,
if I
Kirill.
butt in real quick. I have to go. I'm being called down to the dog park. I want to say, have a good night, everybody. It was fantastic being on. See you next week, everyone.
See you,
Good
Metazo.
morning. Have a good one.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it because I have him. I just have a fairly strong feeling that his bloom is not gonna change a whole lot for him PvE.
I don't know. What I see it as is he's already so powerful, right? And I feel like since a powerful unit is getting his bloom earlier versus one of the weaker units, he's going to have a longer period of time in which it's going to be relevant and make him relevant, right? Than another unit. So for me, this just increases his shelf life higher than any unit we've ever seen before.
Well,
So
I mean,
far.
I think that applies for Arena. I really think that he's still going to do the exact same job PvE that he already did.
Functionally,
he's
I just
still
think
gonna
who
still
knows?
gonna put things to sleep and envenomate them, and the chances of his bloom changing that are fairly small. But I do think the chances of him becoming a scarier in Arena. He's already fairly scary because of high damage and his passive of, if you don't kill him first, he heals up when his allies die.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be even scarier in Arena with whatever they do with his bloom. But PvE, I don't think it's going to change a lot. The only thing,
Don't you use his
honestly,
martial
one of
at
the
all
biggest changes
in PvE at all? No.
you
For some damage?
use it to finish things off. So 22, I beat 22 by auto attacking Killing Machine for a good number of turns. So Squid or Malroth I use to kill the slimes with the sleep and envenom. And then I waited until Killing Machine was almost dead, and then I used the Marshal to deal damage, and then I let one of my units die to heal, to regen 80 MP, and then I used the Marshal again and killed Killing Machine. It's a nice, basically it's there for you to deal damage to finish off units at 1 HP. Because your Envenom leaves them at 1 HP. So even though it deals 700 and something damage, it really only needs to deal 4. And then even rarer than that, you use it to finish, to deal damage at the end of a long fight where your other units are out of MP. You're just auto attacking. And you can get 700, 1400 damage in from Malroth at the end of a long fight like that. But mine is, I think it's +8, and it costs 108 MP, something like that. Maybe it's a flat 100. It's very expensive. He doesn't have a great mana pool, and his Lightning Storm is even more expensive. It's only +5, but it's at 124 MP. And I'm also going to take that to head out. My mom's calling, so.
All right, and we're probably going to end here pretty soon because I'm out of things to talk about unless if Trop wants to chime in. He's at a ghost at the end of the call here.
Oh yeah, I came back a little while ago, but it seemed you guys weren't really talking about Arena on the Arena Watch, so I didn't know where to jump in.
Well, we're talking about units that could be used on
Arena. It's a stretch.
It's a stretch.
You definitely weren't keeping Arena focused.
Yeah.
But yes,
well, we don't have your and Kage's podcast anymore, so we kind of have to just a little dabble at the end of the stream.
Just a little, yeah, in case people want to discuss the blooms.
Yeah, because
But
Malroth would be a menace in Arena if he had a Bloom. And having a unit that could do everything, PvE, Arena, everything, and be relevant for like the next year or two, who knows, would be great. You know, I think, I don't know, Celery already had Dragon Lord. He has Zoma, doesn't he? He has a Stark. He has a lot of the Dark Lords, right? So Malroth. So when it comes to choosing his unit for a Bloom, for Awakening, he should choose the one that got the Bloom, right? He should
yeah,
choose.
might just
He
stick
might
with
as well get
Malroth.
another Awakening on his Malroth.
Yeah,
Why not? That's what
yeah,
I do.
and
It has the
I
most
understand the
value for the
method in the
longest
end.
period of time now.
Like I understand in the end, even though Hargon needs it the most,
Hargon and
uh,
Sorrow, yeah.
people like to really, I guess, think with their wallets, and like they're like, okay, well, which one's the unit I have, or which one's the unit I can get for free, and whereas Hargon, he's pretty weak unit that the Bloom can be a gamble. It might make him better, it might not. But we've seen like with Dragonlord Trueform or whatever, if a unit's already strong, the Bloom is just gonna make it even stronger. So it's a safe bet that no matter what they do with Malroth's Broom, they'll make him stronger in some sort of way. So it doesn't surprise me that everyone voted for it. I think he's going to be a menace in Arena too. I can only imagine how high they're going to make his martial damage, or they can go the spell route.
I mean, that's what they
Because
had him
he's half
for.
martial,
I mean,
half
they could make
spell.
him mixed, and then he's like a bruiser of some sort. He does martial, he does spell, but the spell is not as strong as another spellcaster, so it's more like bruising damage, AoE.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
It's pretty good, yeah. But yeah, I guess we could close out.
Yeah. Any predictions for this
What,
week? I don't think we talked about anything predictions wise because what are you gonna say? We had permutations. We covered.
yeah,
Envenomate's gonna make you have less HP. So what's the best strat
yeah,
for that? Is, I guess, you could still rush in. You could still rush in and kill everybody, but that leaves you vulnerable. Like if they retaliate and you have less HP, you could die potentially. So things to worry
yeah.
about this week.
On easier opponents, I'm gonna rush in like I always have, and then on harder opponents, might have to stay back a little bit, waste turn one, and they'll run towards me. Like if they're really bad, like the 5 in the back, like there used to be on this map, then I basically just wait for them to rush to me. Except the minus HP works in my favor because then I can more easily take them out. Turn 2. So it's really all about being careful this one. Like Envenomate's gonna mess up some people.
Did you read Metazo's write-up for the week?
Yeah, I
Did we
basically
cover
skimmed
everything
through
he
it.
talked about, basically? By accident,
Yeah,
just by chance?
I'd say that we basically did. Yeah, we covered everything. We went on a rant about Schleim and Tank.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's going to
think,
be a good unit for Arena, too.
but like, yeah, it just goes to show there's gonna be a lot of good units. So obviously, like free to play or budget like us are probably not gonna get all of them. So we just got to make the most of what we have. And for being a free unit, Metal Dragon's still good enough, even though he won't be quite like Schleim and Tank. He's probably going to be faster than Schleim and Tank. So as an opponent, that's all you need to know. Just be faster than the opponent, and then it doesn't really matter what they can do. But yeah, Schleim and Tank would be scary if he was like on one of our teams. So we'll see.
Yep. Anyways, guys, this has been the Arena Watch podcast, and if you want to join us for the podcast, it would be every Sunday, same time, roughly. We always have variable schedules, so it's roughly around 1 to 3 p.m. PST. Goes on for an hour or an hour and 45 minutes like just now. But we get it in before, Arena resets generally. Anyways, if you want to join the pack, the Arena Watch pack with the pack, go ahead and subscribe down below. If you like this stream video, then like this stream video. If you have something to say, write down in the comments down below or say something now while it's still live. And what else do I say? I always forget this part.
Well, I think you said like this ain't Twitch or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You could say like this is
Yeah, yeah,
DQT Hub.
yeah. If you
This
want to
ain't Pornhub.
support us, go ahead and share this video stream. If you want to see more of this content, go ahead and hit that bell icon for notifications. This ain't Twitch. Join Kage's gaming Discord server for all the best underground DQT conversations. And join my server for all the best DQT guides. Anyways, guys, this has been the pack, and go ahead and watch this display capture.
And the Trop.
And the Trop. Join the DQT guide sub. Alright, peace. I don't know if that worked, if that had audio or not, but there we go. Back Demon signing out.
It seems like the pixel's giving you some problems.
Yeah?
Not big problems, but like